Week 2 of college football is right around the corner, and today I'm going to be breaking down 2026 QB draft targets for the Pittsburgh Steelers that every Steelers fan should watch here in Week 2. Before we get into the quarterback talk today, guys, the last quarterback video that we did surrounding the 2026 NFL Draft got 359 likes, and my bosses tell me we have to get to at least 360 likes on this video in order to do our recap video next week, Monday. So if you guys want the recap video, if you want to know how John Mateer does versus Michigan, if you guys want to know how all these top quarterbacks play in Week 2 of college football, make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon to let us know that you want more of this type of content here on Steelers Talk. So let's start here with the big matchup of the week that everybody should be watching if you are a college football fan in general, let alone a Steelers fan. The Michigan Wolverines travel to Norman, Oklahoma here on Saturday night to take on the Oklahoma Sooners. And, of course, both these teams 1-0. It's the biggest game in college football this week. Usually week 1, there's a lot of really good matchups. And then in week 2, a lot of teams tend to play softer opponents, FCS, all these different things. But not these two, man. They decided to go with their big matchup here this week instead of last week where they played easier opponents. And, it's going to be John Mateer's opportunity to introduce himself to the college football audience and to the Steelers audience because I think this guy has the potential to be a potential first-round pick. He's got an insane amount of arm talent. He's got a lot of upside as a player. I think all eyes should be on him as we head into this game. For me, when I watch him play with his kind of sidearm delivery, he reminds me a lot of Justin Herbert. Now, he's not nearly as tall or as big as Justin Herbert, but he's also a really good rusher of the football as well. He did that a lot at Washington State last year. And in the first game of the season, even though the Sooners played a much lower opponent, let's put it, Mateer was slinging that thing. He was hitting, intermediate digs. He was throwing the ball down the field, kind of certain concepts that the Steelers want to run here in Pittsburgh. And he's got a huge arm that can certainly cut through the conditions of the AFC North. So definitely a guy to keep your eye on here, especially going up against a really good Michigan Wolverine defense. If he can show out in front of a national audience against this defense, man, Mateer might be putting himself on the national landscape here in Week 2. And then, not only do you get to see John Mateer, but you also get to see Bryce Underwood in this game as well. Now, Underwood is not draft eligible. He's just a freshman there for the Michigan Wolverines, but he's somebody that, is going to be a mainstay in college football for quite a while now. So this is going to be kind of the first real big game for him in his college career, going up against a legitimate potential first-round quarterback in John Mateer. So it'll be interesting to see how Underwood does on this big stage in front of a national audience. I cannot wait for this football game, guys. But let me know down there in the comment section who you got. Type OU if you think Oklahoma will come away with the victory, or type MICH for the Michigan Wolverines if you think Big Blue, Go Blue is going to be able to get the win there here in Week 2. Now, before we get into the rest of today's show, breaking down college quarterbacks for you guys to be watching out for, let's have a word from our sponsor today at Prize Picks. And you and I both make decisions every single day, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. This week, it's Week 2 in the college football season. You better believe I'll be getting my Prize Picks lineups in all weekend long. Prize Picks is simple to play. You just pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections. And if you get your picks right, you could cash in. Prize Picks also puts their users first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Prize Picks also offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. And a new feature from Prize Picks that I love is injury reboots. If one of your players leaves the game in the first half with an injury and doesn't return, Prize Picks will not count it as a loss. Now, in terms of my college football projections this weekend, I'm going to take the more on passing yards on Arch Manning. I think they're going to really try and get him to build some confidence this week against a softer opponent. I'm going to take the more on passing touchdowns on John Mateer. I think he throws at least one. I'm going to take the more on passing touchdowns from Sam Leavitt from Arizona State. So if you guys want to check it out right now on Prize Picks, you guys can download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup on the Prize Picks app today. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Another matchup that I want you guys to keep your eye on this weekend is Baylor versus SMU. Two guys at the quarterback position that maybe aren't as well known, but two guys that are draft eligible and are worth keeping an eye on here as they play in the early portion of Saturday's college football action. We'll start here with Baylor quarterback Sawyer Robertson here, where he's kind of known as somebody that maybe doesn't have the biggest arm in the world, but he's got really great mental processing. He throws the ball on time and within rhythm. He's got really great accuracy, and then he's got plus athleticism. I wouldn't say he's a dynamic rusher of the football, but he can get outside the pocket. He can rush the ball a little bit. Now, his lackluster arm strength can get him in trouble because he will try to fit the ball into windows he can't fit it into, which especially at the NFL level is a big, big time no-no. But this is somebody that is on the national radar in terms of NFL draft QB prospects for next year, so you got to keep your eye on him. And then you got Kevin Jennings from SMU. Now, undersized. He's not tall. Maybe we'll have an issue seeing over the middle. Really relies on out-of-structure playmaking, but he's got a really intriguing physical skill set. He is a dynamic rusher of the football. He's got a really good arm as well. So, definitely keep your eye on Mr. Kevin Jennings this weekend here when the Baylor Bears travel to Dallas to take on the Mustangs. Then we get to Kansas versus Mizzou, where the guy that you got to keep your eye on here in Columbia this weekend is Jalon Daniels from the Kansas Jayhawks. I mean, this guy has been super impressive through the first 2 weeks. Now, Kansas hasn't played anybody, which is why I want you to keep your eye on him this week, because they actually play an SEC opponent in the Missouri Tigers. Now, it's not like Mizzou is like a powerhouse in the SEC or anything like that, but it's an SEC team, right? So Kansas is going to be able to go in there, and Jalon Daniels is going to be able to show what he can do against tougher competition, because to this point he's been lighting it up. I mean, Kansas has been taking him out in the third quarters in the 2 games that they've played so far. They've been winning by so much, but it is very, very important here for him to show what he can do against tougher college opponents if he's going to truly rise up the ranks in terms of the best college quarterbacks to enter the NFL draft next year. So that's what I want to see, guys. I want to see what he does against Mizzou, a tougher opponent this weekend. And then we get to Oklahoma State versus Oregon, and another kind of intriguing talent to keep your eye on here is Dante Moore from Oregon. We saw last year that Dylan Gabriel really rose up in terms of his NFL draft stock playing for Oregon. Of course, that was one of the top teams in the country last season, and once again, that's expected to be the case in Eugene. And Dante is somebody that throws a really, really good deep ball, all right? That's really what he's known for. Throws with great touch and accuracy down the sideline, and this is something here where I think that Pittsburgh is going to take notice of that, because they want a quarterback in the future that can throw that deep ball. They love quarterbacks that can do that. And, just look at Russell Wilson. Just look at Aaron Rodgers, guys that have thrown really good go balls throughout their career and down the field and all those different things. Dante Moore, that's what his specialty is. So very excited to see what he's going to be able to do this season. And Oklahoma State is definitely no pushover. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we're going to be doing this quarterback-style content for college quarterbacks all throughout the season, because plain and simply, guys, the Steelers are probably going to be taking a quarterback in the NFL draft next year. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button for daily Steelers videos. We also go live twice a week, getting you guys ready for that week's game, and then we also go live for the game itself on our live watch party. So it's all 100% free. We're now over 90,000 subscribers here on Steelers Talk. So if you want more of this content, make sure you guys click that subscribe button. And now let's finish up today's video here with 2 quarterbacks that maybe struggled a little bit more on film than I wanted to see in week 1, but have a chance to really bounce back here in week 2. And we'll start with Arizona State's Sam Leavitt. Now, by just looking at the box score for Leavitt, you would say, man, this guy really lit it up. He threw for a lot of yards. He was running the football quite well as well in that first game, but they didn't play anybody, and frankly, there were some bad decisions on his film. He was getting the ball out late at times. He had guys wide ass open, which was why he was able to put up 257 yards and 2 touchdowns passing, but he had a bad interception. I thought that, his timing and, just his general rhythm within the offense looked a little bit off to me. So I'm hoping to see a little bit of a cleaner game this week against a tougher opponent in Mississippi State. This is somebody that has a lot of talent. He's got some nice arm talent. He can run the football a little bit. I think he needs to fill out his frame a little bit, and he needs to prove that he can handle carrying a college-level offense. Last year, of course, Cam Scatabo really took the reins of that Sun Devil offense. And this year, Leavitt is kind of expected to take the reins there and be the guy in that offensive system. And I want to see him be able to do that this weekend. And then, the last quarterback that I'll say keep your eye on is Arch Manning, because last week it was just not a good week. There's multiple missed throws, poor mechanics, throwing the ball sidearm and off his back foot when it wasn't needed, throwing a floater, which ended up being an interception on the, trying to get it to the sideline. Just wasn't a good game, but it was a really tough place to go play your first road college football game. They're in the shoe against probably the best team in college football there in the Buckeyes. But this week against San Jose State, there's no excuse for Arch Manning not to go out there, just absolutely light it up. All right. If he's still throwing, if he's still skipping passes, if he's still throwing sidearms, that are way behind his receiver, all these different things, and he's throwing turnover-worthy plays, all these different things against San Jose State, that's going to be legitimate cause for concern. But I think Texas is going to try to get this kid some confidence over the next several weeks as they gear up for the rest of their SEC schedule down the stretch. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comment section. Are you worried about Arch Manning after that, frankly, really bad week 1 performance versus the Ohio State Buckeyes? He had a couple nice throws in there, but most of it was not very good. Give me a yes or a no as to whether or not you worried about the Texas Longhorn QB. All right, that'll be it for today's edition of Steelers Talk. Guys, thank you so much for making it to the end of today's video with me. We're going to have more Steelers content coming your way as we continue to prepare for this week 1 matchup, Steelers versus Jets. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button to never miss a thing.